Well, good morning, everybody out there in Facebook land, TikTok world, everywhere that there is going to be a live version of this or a clip thereof. How are y'all doing this morning? Hopefully, you all are doing great out there, and hopefully, you all have survived the weekend. It is Monday. Hopefully, it doesn't feel like a Monday for some people already. But good morning out there. Welcome to the broadcast booth. I am Monty Anderson, your host here at 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. Oh, exciting times, exciting times. We are going to give a brief pause um, for, you know, another celebrity that ended up passing away. Uh, and they had a lot of life to live. Rob Reiner and his wife were found this weekend, passed away. And apparently it was because of their son. Their son apparently took them off of this mortal coil and off of this planet. And you know, I can only assume for what would be money reasons that their son would do this. But Rob Reiner and his wife are no longer on this planet. Now, we've also lost, what I've been seeing, a lot of voice actors for cartoons and things like that. So, a lot of passings have happened this week and this weekend. So, hold your loved ones close. Tell them you love them. Tell your friends you love them on a regular basis, and go that route because, you know, again, the world is not the greatest of places right now, but you can make the world a great place in your area. Be kind. You know, it doesn't take much to be kind, and I know not everybody deserves kindness, but that's why they say kill them with kindness. You know, so there you go. But again, if you hadn't heard, Rob Reiner and his wife were unalived by their child, by their son, this weekend. Apparently, either last night or yesterday, some point in time, or this weekend. I don't know the exact details of it all. Uh, I just saw it when I woke up this morning. So, uh, just be checking on your people. Be checking on your people. But welcome to the broadcast booth, everybody. It is exciting times, though. If you are a Guns N' Roses fan, they've got two new songs out right now. Nothing and what's the other one? I couldn't tell you what the other one is right off the top of my head. But I did repost it. But my computer is running like pond water. There we go. Atlas and Nothing are the two new songs that have been released by Guns N' Roses. And they've got a big tour coming up. Just like Evanescence has a big tour coming up too. And so if you're into any of those bands, Evanescence has a good lineup. Guns N' Roses is putting together a good lineup to go out on tour with them. So there you go with that note. Hopefully you guys can hear me out there. If not, let me know. And waiting on some of my regulars to be here, and as they always do show up most of the time, unless they're sleeping, like Roy and Casey. Sometimes they're sleeping, but it's understandable. Roy usually stays up all night long, and we won't tell you what he does on a regular basis, but he can tell you himself whenever he gets here. And no, he's not into making video and content like that. Where am I plugging this in? I do have a couple of cat balls out right now. Um, just because I've been hearing some strange things going on. So I just want to capture anything if anything does happen. I did change up the Aussie painting back here as well. This is one that's a work in progress right behind me over my shoulder. Right there, right there. I had the other one up for 2 or 3 lives, and then weren't here on the last live because sleep and all that good stuff. Don't forget to like, share, and follow while you're here as well. And that helps us out and gets us out to the populace out there. But hopefully, you all are doing great out there. Again, this is Monty Anderson with 412 Productions, the art of Monty Anderson. And we talk everything from horror movies, sci fi movies, to comic book artwork, to my artwork, and the acting gigs that I do get, and the voice acting gigs that I have. We get to talk about those. And some exciting stuff is finishing up some commissions for some Christmas presents. And then, on top of that, I have got a multi book deal. So that's awesome. Welcome to the broadcast booth, Casey. Coffee in hand, I hope. Straight black out in that winter wonderland that you're living in right now. Um, but yeah, I picked up a multi book deal. Um, I'm not going to say it's paying a great amount, but in compensation for the books that I'll get to sell later on, it's not horrible. So, you know, I'm happy that I've got it. Working on a one cover right now, just a um, rough draft of what the cover is going to look like whenever I transfer it over to canvas later on. Again, I just finished up two paintings, and I've got one more to do for a commission for Christmas, not birthday, and you know all of that goody good stuff. Again, I got two cat balls out because I've been hearing some noises. I'm wanting to see if there's any interaction going to happen between them. Uh, and if anything happens, I'll let you know. But right now, oh, excuse me, I'll show you a little bit of this book cover because again, it's just a experimental design right now, right there. There's a lot of elements going on in here that incorporate several of the villains in the book, and that should carry through all three books, from what I understand. So that should be pretty cool. That's exciting. That's exciting times right there. That my work will be on the front cover of three different books. I do have to go to the VA this morning to check it out. My aminal exam, you know. And good morning, Casey. Um, but no, it's all good. It's all cool. My checkup came back good, actually. Better than I was expecting it to be. Um, especially with all of the medications that you got to take. I'm looking for more herbal remedy type stuff over the crap that they keep pumping into our systems. Uh, for all of our symptoms. And being a heart attack survivor two times over, um, you want to look at more natural remedies over medication on a regular basis because I have to take that low dose of aspirin for the rest of my life, and then I have to take certain other medications. But I also want to look, and I've been looking, um, at more herbal remedies, to take instead of pumping our body full of the big pharma stuff, because that's all they want to do. Here, have these pills. Here, have these pills. Here, have these. Here, 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 here. And pretty soon you've got a freaking pantry full of medication. you know. So, multi-book deal for the covers, possibly some characters in there as well, depending on what he sees and if he likes what he sees from what I'm doing. And he does so far. And then on the flip side, I'm going to be drawing out some of the characters that he already has some other artists working on to try and take that away from the other artist. I'm sorry to say it, but that's the competition that we get into when it comes to doing artwork for people. You want to take the spot of everybody else, and I kudos to the artist that he does have, and I understand. He's spreading the love around, and I get that. As I will be once I get my book up and running. I will be spreading the joy around, the love around to other artists, because I want the opportunities to be there for other people as well. Um, Now there's some people that I'm looking at, again, on my own comic books, that have already been in the spotlight, and they've had their minutes of fame. But there's other ones out there that deserve a little bit more recognition, um, and just haven't been pumped to that level, if you will. So I will be giving other artists a chance as well, um, to work on my book, and being a fantasy realm book, fantasy horror type stuff. Hopefully it will draw some people in that don't normally, look at, getting into that realm uh, of existence when it comes down to it. But hopefully, they will accept. I've just got to put my feelers out there once I get to that point, because again, I am doing so many other things right now. And, like I was looking at, 2026 is here. It's right around the corner, you know. And I'm nowhere near ready for conventions like I thought I would be, you know. And so I am to the point of, if I don't make any 2026 conventions, I'm okay with that, you know. And I'm just like, are conventions really that important when getting my artwork out there? No, because I've got a bigger audience through TikTok, through Facebook, through, you know, Instagram, than I do going to a convention. Yes, conventions are great. Conventions are a necessity. I'm not saying that they're not. But when you look at the money spent just going, like I was telling another friend that hopefully he gets his package today, but it won't be until, later on that he actually gets it. Um, on those commissions that I just finished up and sent out, you're already in the hole before you get to the convention. It could be anywhere between $800 in the hole or $1,500 in the hole, depending on how far travel is, how much food you've had, how many booths you bought, because booths aren't cheap for artists and vendors and things like that. Especially if you want a premium spot like an in cap or an inline spot, or things of that nature, you know. And so if you don't have a sponsor and your stuff isn't selling on a regular basis, then you're eating that cost right off the bat, you know. And that's painful, because you're already, like I said, $1,500 in the hole, and you haven't even set up yet, at the convention. So you have to make $1,500 just to break even, and then you want to profit on top of that. So if you only sell $800 worth of stuff, you do the math, you know? And so it's always a fine line to walk whenever you go to conventions, comic book conventions, because you don't know what the atmosphere is going to be like for your stuff. I get so many people on here that see the shirts that I wear, and they're like, "Oh man, I got to get that." Well, you send them the information, and it's crickets, you know. And you send them all of the shirts. You don't just send them one or two. You send them the whole video that you did, on every shirt that you've got, you know. And because they saw one that you were wearing, and they're like, "Oh, I've got to have that one." Like this one that I wear a lot on here. This one that I wear a lot on here, you know, and several other ones. Like either one of these, especially this one. This one has been the number one seller out there, you know. And you send them the information, and it's crickets. You know, they were all hot and ready to buy right then and there. And then you go check and hasn't even been read, hasn't even been seen. You know, it's just like, huh, okay. Even had one that was all into. I'm pretty sure it was Art the Clown that I was wearing that day, and she just had to have it. And I told her that, hey, I'll send you a DM if you don't send me one later. And the person blocked me. So those are the things you got to deal with whenever you have your own business and you are, you know, trying to make it in the rat race, if you will. And so, but now exciting times going on right now. You know, I could be griping, I could be complaining because I am always in need, of something when it comes down to it. Um, and that's why I hope these sponsorships that have been coming my way are going to land and be fruitful and fulfilling. Just because that would seriously help, when it comes to conventions, because they would be taking care of the booth, and if they wanted to, they could take care of the hotel room if they wanted to. You know, it would just be dependent on what the company wants to do. Um, and that's one company that I'm talking about. Now the other one, um, I don't know where it stands right now. I don't know if it's died on the vine or what's going on with it. Um, but he's wanting to, you know, take my brand and put it under his moniker, which is his title of his book, of his company, which I would still retain the rights to all of my stuff, but they want to go in there and have my characters interact with their characters in a crossover events and things like that, which is understandable. I get that. It'd be like Image Comics with everybody in there, how they did crossover events on a regular basis, and I have no issues with that. Um, it's just that I don't want to have things come back and bite me in the ass, with life situations that are going on with this person, you know. And no ill will against the person, no ill will against his company or anything like that. I just don't want any repercussions coming back and biting me in the ass, if that makes sense. Because you're always having to cover your own ass, no matter what you do, no matter what job you have. You're always covering your own ass because someone else is going to throw you under the bus in a heartbeat, you know. And I've seen it a million times. I've seen it in two different marriages. Um, you know, and those are my marriages out there. So, um, huh, oh, um, again, here we are. We've got a live visibility restriction because of something I said. I'm gonna go ahead and appeal because TikTok is a dick. Okay, how about that? How about that, TikTok? You're a dick. All right, and and I'm not telling anybody to go do anything. You know, if you want to hit me up for stuff, hit me up for stuff. Um, but TikTok is becoming a nuisance in and of itself. If you don't have a TikTok shop here where they're not getting their cut of things, they get a little testy and they send in a restriction notice, you know, and it's ridiculous. Not everybody wants to sell shit through TikTok, you know. Yes, I sell stuff on a regular basis, you know, and TikTok can shove it for all I care. Right turn, Clyde, you know, all that good stuff. So now it's fluctuating back and forth right here, right now. Um, it is uh, fluctuating between green and red right now on my restriction area. So it is what it is. I don't give a shit anymore with TikTok. If they want to restrict me, they can restrict me. Do whatever you want. I'm tired of your bullshit. Um, and I'm not going to stop using your platform because I get to push my artwork out there, and my homesteading journey. So, but whenever you talk about certain topics, appeal not approved. Well, fuck you guys. Okay. Um, and I know a lot of people that feel the same way about TikTok, especially right now. People can talk about stupid shit out there and not get a restriction. People can be out there masturbating on a blurred out screen and not get a restriction. But you talk about selling something outside of TikTok, oh, restriction. Oh, you talk about um, 988 prevention. If you know, you know. Restriction. If you say the exact words, schmooicide. You can't say the real word. You get a restriction. If you need help, if or thoughts of harming yourself, please, we have people that can help you, or you can, And it's just like, no, I'm talking about awareness. I'm talking about things to help prevent people from walking off a cliff, you know. But yet, you stupid platform think that because this word was used, that's the whole article of the the show, the live show. No, that's not it. See, there we go again. Live restricted for some audiences. Submit feedback. You suck. The decision is not fair. There you go. You guys can fuck off. Not you guys watching, but TikTok themselves. Um, so you have to, even in the free world, you have to watch what you say because you can't say certain things. You can't say certain keywords, but you can show your butthole on here, and it's perfectly legal, and you won't get a restriction because it's not against their guidelines. Um, so you know, and I'm only restricted for this show, so don't get any weird, you know, rations that I won't be on next time. And TikTok just infuriates a lot of people, and I'm not the only one. And I know I'm not the only one because I hear people talk about it, you know. And whenever you're chatting with people in the DMs and you say certain things, or like I've got friends that like to curse a lot. Well, they'll send cursing, you know, in the DMs, and it will get blocked to the point you have to hit the view button. Are you sure you want to view this? You know, blah 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 blah. It's like, yes, I want to read what they said. You know, and it's just a little much. It's just a little much. I mean, hell, even Facebook doesn't do that. You know, and it's ridiculousness, if you will. So today's reach is going to be way in the toilet, uh, just because of TikTok. Thank you, TikTok, for your wonderful policing of everybody's stuff. And I will continue to sell stuff on TikTok apart from your idiocity. Um, just because it's not going to stop me. You know, they restricted one of my videos that had my artwork on it. And I had to go in there and put that this is, you know, second party something or other, um, and that I'm the creator of the artwork involved in that video, and it's becoming a popular video out there now. Within minutes of me posting it, TikTok had already done their thing, put the restriction on it until I changed some settings on it. And so it does become a little tiresome with TikTok when it comes down to it all. And you just want to smack them around a little bit, you know, because if you're going to make buttholes legal and schmasturbating and a lot of other things that you allow on here, like schmedophiles, to have a platform, stop restricting people from trying to sell stuff. Let's just put it point blank to you, TikTok. Um, because if we don't want to sell through your platform, we shouldn't have to. You know, you guys don't own the world. And I know if I dropped off of TikTok, it wouldn't hurt you a bit. And it wouldn't hurt me a bit either because I've got other platforms that you're not involved in that I can sell on. Sell, 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 sell. TikTok. I will sell my artwork on your platform on a regular basis. And I have. And you don't get a cut. Congratulations, dickheads. All right, enough of that. So, but a potential 3-book deal right now for being on the covers. So that's exciting times. 3 commissions getting ready to walk out the door. I'm going to be working on another one today at some point in time. Again, I do have my VA appointment later on today. And on that note, we're on a roll. Yeah, an angry, crunchy roll. Oh Lord, TikTok just sends me into a spiral sometimes. I mean, I guess it's okay or good that I've got my mood pills. That the VA likes to dish out. Um, Otherwise it could be a lot worse. A lot worse. So, but yes, Casey, we are on a roll. How's that snow up there? You build any more snowman? More snowmen, snow women? I know the last time it snowed here, Audrey and I built a snow woman. She had big bosoms and a big booty, you know, a big booty Judy. And yes, she was cold outside. Her headlights lit up the day. So what's going on in your world, Casey? How's that music coming along? You've been sleeping in inside, very cold. Yeah, it's 23 here, so we're starting to finally see that those colder temperatures hit us, and it's fine. It's nice. I mean, I'm glad we're finally starting to see some cool, colder temperatures. Being December, but that's what happens when you're in the central part of the United States and it's the lower section of the United States where you don't get as much snow as people up north or in Alaska or Siberia or places like that. Um, and you miss it because I can remember as a kid, we used to get snow all the time. So much so that we used to put tunnels in it, and tunnel through it. And that is not an orb. That is a piece of lint. So don't get crazy on that one. But I do have 2 cat balls set up, one here and one there, to see if anything does interact with us today. But yeah, And so it, like I said, it's 23 degrees here. I think it feels with a little bit of a wind, probably feels like 20, if I had to guess. There's not a whole lot of wind going on right now, but it is enough to freeze pipes and all of that good stuff. You so got to be constantly watching for that, and it's about time to set up some heat lamps under the house, I guess. You know, even though I've got insulation, single digits here. Well, good. I mean, if you don't like the single digits, then it's not good. But I can remember those single digits when I was in Afghanistan. -10 and stuff like that. Uh, yes, in the desert, it gets down below freezing, and it snows for days at a time. Uh, and by the time it's all said and done, you're in waist deep snow. You know, and but yeah, no, I get that, and that just makes that snow hard packed in single digits. I would love to see snow here on a more regular basis, but then that means that the climate is changing. So I was watching a. It's kind. I want to say it's a documentary. It's a docu series on YouTube, and it is about demonology. And he was reading, or he was talking about a text. I think it's the Book of Tobat, I believe. One of those forgotten books that's supposed to be in the Bible that didn't make it into the Bible, and because it has too much reality in it. Um, and how King Solomon commanded demons, and whenever he was finished with them, she's doing better. So thank you for asking. She's she got a lot of sleep yesterday. She went to bed about 5:30 and basically didn't wake up until like 2. So, but it's a book that I want to go read more about, because in this book, according to what the guy was talking about, is that King Solomon, was commanding demons, and he was having them build temples for him after he helped them with an issue, you know, kind of like a counselor would. And so for payment, uh, he employed them to build temples for him. Uh, and this was multiple demons, not just one, you know. And so I want to read more about that. It's some of the stuff that you don't get to read about because it's not in the Bible. Because why? It's scary stuff. You know, for some people. But you got to have an open mind when it comes to things like that, because there's a lot that has been left out. Uh, and why has it been left out? You know, is it too real? Does it show you know certain individuals as more human than people want to uh, realize? Those type things. Was this person tempted too much? All kinds of different questions that I have. And that's just keeping an open mind. That conscious mind that we're supposed to have, but yet we've been hand fed all of the information, you know, from scholars and pastors and rabbi and all that good stuff. So, but you need to do your own research on everything, and that's why there's many different sources for everything. So you just have to know which ones to believe, as Stan Lee says, true believer. You know, and now there's a whole big controversy with Stan Lee and Kirby and all that good stuff, and how Kirby stole a lot of his writings from or Stan Lee stole a bunch of his writing. I did say Stan Lee, didn't I? Stan Lee stole a bunch of his writings from Kirby and Jack Kirby and things of that nature, and so on and so forth. And so you've got your your naysayers and your believers and your true believers, you know. And it's just you've got to do the research because you're never going to know the full truth, especially now that Stanley is gone, Jack Kirby's gone. You know, you're never going to know the full truth. You're only going to get bits and pieces of stories from the people that worked with both of them at the same time. You know, and it's just like in a marriage, you're never going to get the true story of why the people divorced because, like we've talked about before, there's three versions. There's her side, there's his side, and then there's the truth in the middle somewhere. You know, so because neither side wants themselves to look like the bad person. You know, in anything, and that goes in friendships as well, not just in a marriage. You know, and it goes down to your boyfriend girlfriend. You know, boyfriend girlfriend. You know, whatever your relationship status is. You know, you you don't want to look like the bad guy. So you're going to paint your picture of your Mona Lisa and a Mother Teresa all rolled into one, whereas this other person is, you know, the pits of wherever you think the pits are. You know, the bottomless bog or the bog of eternal stink or those type things. And I have a whole list of movies for you, Casey, too. Like I said, I think I said it's like 50 movies or so. As I was going through all of my DVDs that I physically have a that are still in the cases. Now I've got DVDs all over the place. I've got probably 10 binders of DVDs that have so you took out of the case and you threw the case away and all that good stuff and just put them all inside this one binder that's sleeved in. I've probably got I can't even count how many movies I've got. But oh, am I glitching? Oh, I understand why. I didn't go back over here. Come on, go away. There we go. Let's see if that helps. We'll see if that helps. I mean, it's not like my viewership is going out there with these restrictions anyway, so thanks TikTok for your restrictions. Um and so but yeah, I probably got like 50 movies for you to enjoy. Um cuz did you watch those other ones yet that I recommended? In those 5 from Children of the Corn, the original. The remake isn't horrible. It's just a remake, you know. And that's why. And even Roy was talking about some remakes that happened. Total Recall and what was the other one? He had 2 remakes. So you watched The Ninth Gate and All Hallows Eve. You watched both of those, and then Terrifier 1 through 3 with 4 fixing to come out. I think it's 26 or 27 when Terrifier 4 comes out. Terrifier 3, I think it is, with the pale girl. Oh, she's great. Um, yes. And then, like I said, there was Hellraiser, of course. There was Hellraiser 2, Hellbound is a good one. Let's see. I just watched both of those actually yesterday. Um, Children of the Corn. What were the remakes that Roy was talking about? I know one of them was. I wish he was here to talk about it. Total Recall. He enjoyed the remake, and I was just like, it was okay. It was a good one, but it's not like it drew me in like the first Total Recall. Um, and now they're redoing Running Man too as a completely different feel. They're rebooting Running Man, so looking forward to that one. I mean, I'll watch it just like I did Total Recall, and it has good actors in it. You know, Kate Beckinsale, uh, Biel, Jessica Biel, and oh, what's his name? I can't think of what his name is right off the top of my head. But he's been in a lot of movies. He was Penguin as well. So, and Bullseye in the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck, which should never even be talked about. Um, but Colin Farrell, yes, Colin Farrell. That's it. And you know, it was okay. I can't knock it too much. And then what was the other one? He was talking about something else. He was talking about two movies that he watched. I can't think of what the other one is, but remakes are just remakes, you know, and they try to modernize them for the day, and it's eh, just make your own original movie. Just do it. Make your own original movie and stop revamping everything, you know. Oh my goodness, excuse me. So, so there was Children of the Corn, Hellraiser. What were the other ones on there on that list that I gave you? I can't think of them right off the top of my head. Because you said you'd seen two of them out of the five, and you were going to watch those two that you, or the other ones that you hadn't seen. Uh, and I can't remember what they are right off the top of my head. The Saws are great. And a horrible one there yet. Even Spiral, it wasn't bad, which is a spin off of Saw. Um, if you haven't seen that one, Spiral, it's a good one. Oh, you saw those are the ones you saw the three Terrifier films. Or I know you said you saw Ninth Gate, and I think you were getting ready to watch All Hallows Eve, and then you saw Terrifier one first, um, with the hat trick, the saw, all that goody good stuff. So yeah, no, those are good. I mean, good stuff, good stuff. And then you need to watch Terrifier 2 and 3. And I know a lot of people give Terrifier a bad rap, you know, just because it is over the top stuff. Um, and and I get it. You know, there's some quirky spots to it. Holy crap! There's some quirky spots to it, and then you've got your more serious notes to it and all that good stuff. But all in all, they're fun. They're fun. They're good movies. And I've seen a lot of people in horror movies bashing or horror threads bashing, you know, Terrifier franchise and Art the Clown specifically. Um, so, and I just don't get all the negativity towards things. You know, just if you don't like it, move on. You know, if it's not for you, move on. Go find something that is for you, like Cannibal Holocaust. Oh, Cannibal Holocaust was one on that list. Go watch Cannibal Holocaust over and over again. You know, or if you like, or if you're into the trauma style, which is like Nukem High and Toxic Avenger and things like that, then go enjoy those. You know, Tromeo and Juliet. I highly recommend that one. It's the punk rock remake of Romeo and Juliet. You know, and it's Tromeo and Juliet. Great movie. I loved it. Uh, Quirky, fun, uh, raunchy, and so it's just a fun all around movie. You know. No, I'm gonna send them to you. I actually took pictures of um, the DVD covers, and I'm just gonna send them to you and go that route. and you can pick and choose which ones you want to watch because there's a lot of fantasy and sci-fi stuff like that. And that way you know that you're getting the right one. Because there's like if you go like the movie that I was in Alone, or not Alone but Masquerade. Well, you can take Alone too. If you pull up Alone without Jason Pitts in there, you're gonna pull up 100 different Alone movies. You know, because I did a lot of props in there, a lot of artwork and stuff like that in that movie. Yes, that's what I was talking about earlier. I guess you weren't on the show yet. Rob Reiner and his wife were taken out of this world by their son, and I'm only assuming that it was by for money purposes. Um, Thought he would gain a large inheritance by doing what he did, but Rob Reiner and his wife were sadly taken off of this plane of existence by their own child. And you know, it's it's sad when you have to, and they're not the and then they're not the first ones that have happened that their child has taken them out. The Menendez case, for example. But there's so many others out there that have taken place like that because you know the son or daughter felt like that it would be better that they got the inheritance now or try to, and so they orchestrate big things, and it doesn't work out sometimes, you know. And yeah, so yeah, unfortunately, Rob Reiner and his wife were taken too soon. He was in his 70s, she was in her 60s, so they still had life to live, you know, as we all do. I feel even you, Casey, you still have a lot of life to live, and even when it's in the single digits where you are. That's why I want to go give my hand a shot in Alaska for a little bit. Like I said, I need to go visit my half sister up there, and in the dead of winter, just so I can go out into it and see what it's really like up there. Somebody said something negative. Some comments in this live were filtered to protect the community's experience. Because you can't say what you really want to say, because TikTok will censor you or restrict you or put that out there. Oh, we stopped this live comment even though it wasn't negative. It just drives me crazy sometimes, and that's why I do my recording up here, you know, and that way I can push it out wherever I need to, and even repost it here if I need to, because like I said, my reach is in the toilet right now thanks to TikTok and their wise 20 something year olds that run this platform. Um, the cancel culture crew, if you will. And they make it very difficult to even talk about any type of topic out there, you know, which is sad. And it's sad that, you go scrolling mindlessly on these apps and you see things that would and should be restricted or banned on here, but yet here it is. Not my show, but you know, other people's broadcast out there. And I follow a diverse group of people because artists and musicians and things of that nature. So I see a lot of stuff when I'm scrolling. And I don't report people. I don't, do that type of stuff because why? TikTok's not going to take it serious anyway. So, move on, live life, and have fun. And we try to around here, but then you get restrictions. And so then you're your viewership goes in the toilet. You know, so from now on, I will be a perfect little angel for you, TikTok. Read between the lines. All right. Um, and so that's never going to happen. I'm not going to conform to their ways, and I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. You know, they're going to have to completely cut my channel off 100% before that happens. And then I'll just create another one like many people do. Just use a different email address like everybody else does and create 15 new accounts and go that route. So, so I'm not going to stop selling my own merchandise on TikTok. So, there you go, TikTok, up yours. But yeah, no, but I'll get you that stuff, Casey. Not a problem there, and we will go from there with all that. Because yeah, I've got a good long list of movies. I'll probably send you like 5 at a time or so, unless you just want the whole kit and caboodle sent your direction. I'll just send them all. And like I said, there's a lot of sci-fi and fantasy in there with your touch. There's some dramas in there as well. So it's not all horror and sci-fi and stuff like that. Like Blazing Saddles. That's a good heartfelt comedy. Um, oh, what was I watching? There was something on just for background noise, and because it's something I'd seen a million times, and it was just like, holy shit! If the cancel culture of today was hitting, this one would be gone. Oh, what movie was it? I can't even think what movie it was right now. But it was so out there with the verbiage and things like that. It was just like, whew, yeah, this one wouldn't pass muster with the kids of today. Just like Blazing Saddles, and I think aren't they trying to do Blazing Saddles too, as well as Spaceballs too? So that would be interesting to see that. Because where are those actors now? I mean, Gene Wilder. I can't remember the the sheriff's name in it, but I was just, I mean, for them to even be making Spaceballs 2 in today's time, today's day and age, whew, they got some balls on them. Let's just put it that way. But that's what the world needs is a good pair of balls, because and so yeah, no, it's just all kinds of cool stuff is happening right now, you know. Oh yeah, absolutely. That was a '70s movie, great one for back then. But there were so many, and that's what I've been watching is a lot of older stuff over a lot of the newer stuff, and I've put in, you know, um, and I've watched several of the newer stuff, and it's just there's some good independent films out there by not your mainstream uh, directors and things like that, and it's just like it could have been better, but I understand your budget constraints and things of that nature as well, and so it's just like for what you had and what you built, it was a good movie, you know. But then you see some that are just like, this actually was made into a movie, really, and you're scratching your head because it was so horrible um, and unfathomable. And but you get that in the mainstream movies too, in the high budget movies. You're like, this really needed to be told the story, you know. like this, and you just are just left scratching your head. It's like when I watched Weapons. It was a good movie, but there was a lot of questions. You know, just like in Bring Her Back, a lot of questions. Um, and then it's like, no, I want to see the lost film footage in both of these, and well, not in Weapons, but which we're getting the sequel or prequel to, which is the Gladys story in Weapons. But in Bring Her Back, there's this whole cult movie in there that they're watching that the main antagonist person villain is watching so that they can keep this going in this child. And I want to know more about that lost film footage that she's watching on the VHS tape that I wanted to of the movie that we were watching. And it's just like, and you get into movies like that. They're like, no, I want more of this than this crap that I'm watching, and it's just like, whatever. It is what it is. I'll they'll eventually make it, maybe, with the outpour and crying of the fan base, to be like, hey, no, we really want to see that movie over what atrocity you created right here. You know, but we'll see. We'll see. And nothing's happening with my cat balls. With my cat balls, nothing's happening. So we might not be getting any interaction going on right now. And this poor little guy is pumping out as much as he can, but he's a little guy. He's a little guy. I need to pull in a bigger heater in here because, again, this room has no heat and barely any insulation in the walls. Whoever built it did it completely wrong. But that's, neither here nor there. One of these days I'll either have a Connex in here, or, you know, something completely different. Hold on. You get to see my junked up room. There we go. I was like, why are we losing charge? I've got a brick on here. Why are we losing charge? We shouldn't be losing charge. All right. So, with all that being said, I do appreciate each and everybody that does come in here and throw up the likes and share and follows and all that good stuff. And you guys are not taken for granted. It's just TikTok pisses me off on a regular basis, it seems like. And, it is what it is. And I just want to smack them around a little bit here and there. And if I could, go up to the 20 something year old that is in charge of TikTok, I would just, you know, take him out behind the woodshed for a little bit. And if you don't know that term, go look it up. I know Casey knows what I'm talking about. So, but I do hope you all have a great time and a great week. Um, what is this week? This is the 15th. So you still got a few days. You know, we're in the middle of the month of December right now. We have less than a week. Well, hold on. We have 11 days before Christmas. And yes, we are straight up 30K likes. So much appreciated, Casey, on that. We are 11 days out from Christmas. Does it even feel like Christmas? No, it doesn't. But it is what it is. We're 11 days out from Christmas time. From that great big snowman hitting your eye. Big old Santa Claus coming and landing on your rooftops the night before Christmas Eve. And servicing. That just sounds wrong. Breaking it. No, that sounds wrong too. Um, last few years have been off. Christmas doesn't feel same to me, and 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 I understand that with a lot of people because once my son passed away, Christmas just didn't feel the same. Period. Even though I had my girl still and all that good stuff, and then just year after year, you just try to outdo yourself with the gifts that you gave from the year before. And why? That's not what Christmas is about. And we're not going to get into the whole religious side of it all either. But Christmas should be about family. Should be about being together. It shouldn't be about, oh, well, how much did you spend? Oh, well, why didn't you get me this instead of this? And that's all Christmas has become. And that's why I think the Amish have it figured out. They don't do all that rigmarole. And what they do, they build. You know. Yeah, absolutely. A kid's Christmas is always better, more so than the adult side. And but again, we get into that materialistic side of things, and it's just why? Why do we want to be so materialistic? I've got stuff in here that I never even touch. You know, it's just like, why do I have it? Artwork that's displayed on the walls, everybody gets to enjoy that. But whenever I open up a drawer and I run across shit that I don't need that I had to have, you know, and yeah, the magic of it all, because Santa did come to visit, and now you get people telling everybody or their kids, at a younger age, no, Santa's not real. I'm the one putting all this stuff out, or your dad's the one putting all this stuff out, or your baby daddy who paid for this is the one that put this out for you. All that good stuff. And it's just like the magic is gone for a lot of holidays. And I get that as we get older because we've lost matriarchs of the family that made that magic, happen. And like I said, I've got my parents left and my brother, of course. Exactly. You know, because they would go over the top and above and beyond, those type things. And make it special for the kids. And I tried to do the same thing for my kids as well. But sometimes we were very limited. Oh yeah, the food, the fun, just the camaraderie with everybody. And it you don't see that a lot anymore. Because unfortunately, a lot of people have to work on Christmas. I mean, look at the poor convenience store clerks. Certain stores are open because, oh, we gotta have that bottom dollar. Why? You didn't make enough throughout the year that you have to be open on Christmas Day. It just makes no sense. I can remember when stores used to be closed for 2 or 3 days at Christmas time, and when every store used to be closed on Sundays. Even restaurants. But that's just not the corporate world anymore. We have to have our money no matter what day it is. Oh, we're making our people work on Christmas because people still got to travel. Give your people a break. The music was majestic, absolutely. Because new stuff was coming out on a regular basis in the music world when it came to your Christmas music and things of that nature. So yeah, it all of that good stuff rolled into just big smiles because that's what it turned into. It was smile after smile, you know. And yeah, and most of the time, just being a kid was enough, and even the parents enjoyed it more back then. I don't think parents enjoy it at all nowadays because it's too much. Some barely are getting by, and you want me to buy presents on top of that? Now, some parents will make it work, absolutely, but you're not going to get a huge Christmas. Now, I've seen parents get very creative and go to like Dollar Tree and Dollar General and stuff like that, and spread it out between 15, 20 gifts. You know, now some 300 pound. Hey, watch it! I'm pushing 300 pounds. No, I'm just kidding. Cupcake wants to sing "Mary, Did You Know" and put a dish pin to it. Yes, yes. No, I get it. I mean, it's just like your big mega churches singing just like a prayer in church. Get down to the true meaning of that song, mega churches and some churches in between. And it ain't about religion. Oh, but yeah, no. I think we're gonna kill it for today, since TikTok has already ruined it for us out here today. But I do appreciate those that have shown up. Casey, I appreciate you as always. You're a great dude, even when you think you're not, buddy. Even when you think you're not, you're a great dude. But I will, as I always say, catch you on the flip side. Have a good day, everybody.